She raised her glass and said it like a punchline. To my boss, the only man I'd say yes to twice. And just like that, the room detonated with laughter. The fake kind. Polite, loud. The kind you hear at office parties when everyone's drunk on cheap Chardonnay and office politics. A couple people whistled. Someone dropped their fork. Even the boss, that human Excel spreadsheet with hair gel, let out a laugh like he was flattered but trying to act humble. Ashley beamed like she just brought the house down at a comedy club. I didn't laugh. I didn't move. I just stared at the projector screen behind her. It flickered for a moment like a bad omen. Then it went black again. Not yet. Corey had promised me perfect timing, a clean handoff, and I trusted him. But let's rewind just for a second. Because that toast, that wasn't the betrayal. That was the mask slipping. The betrayal had been dripping into our life for months, slow and colorless like a gas leak, late nights that weren't accounted for, weekend strategy sessions, makeup in the glove box, hotel key card I found in her coat pocket once, with the hotel logo half scratched off like it had been nervously scraped against a zipper. Still, I kept playing my role. The silent husband, the good sport, the background extra in the Ashley show. And yeah, before we go deeper, more than 90% of people listening to stories like this don't subscribe. I get it. But if you're still here and you're feeling what I'm feeling, hit that subscribe. It's free and it lets the team know we're not yelling into a void. Helps us keep turning the screws on stories like this. Back to Ashley. She stayed at the mic for another minute, milking it. Honestly, he's believed in me since day one, she said, turning toward her boss like he was a damn war hero. He pushed me to take risks, to go after what I want, not just professionally, but personally too. She didn't even look in my direction, not once, like I wasn't there. Like I hadn't driven her to her first interview at this company 5 years ago because her car was in the shop. Like I wasn't the one who read over her cover letter while she was sobbing over wine, thinking she wouldn't get the job. Instead, I watched her standing there, perfectly lit under the spotlight, bathing in the adoration of coworkers and execs who thought this was just another feel-good toast from an ambitious employee. But I knew better, because 2 months ago, I saw it, one message, left open on her laptop, of all things. She'd gone to the bathroom. I was passing by, and there it was, a Slack notification that read, "Same room as last time." I didn't say anything. Not then. I just memorized the name. And then I reached out to someone who owed me a favor. Corey. Ashley didn't know I was still friends with him. Hell, she probably didn't even remember him. My college roommate turned lead systems administrator at her company. The kind of guy who could pull a Slack archive with his eyes closed and no fingerprints left behind. When I asked, I didn't even have to explain. He just replied with one word. Time. And now Ashley was up there, spinning her little fairy tale. A story of hard work, mentorship, mutual respect, while behind her a powder keg of her own making was ticking down. I could feel the shift in the room as her toast wound down, the laughter dying, glasses clinking again, people turning back to their conversations. But not for long. Corey had set it to start exactly 3 seconds after she stepped away from the mic, and I'd requested one specific detail to start it with. A screenshot, not just any screenshot. A photo of a calendar invite titled Evening Strategy Session, sent by her boss, accepted by her, time-stamped, geotagged, the hotel logo in the corner. I leaned back in my chair, took a sip of my drink, and watched her take a bow. 1, 2, 3. The screen flickered. People turned. Ashley kept smiling. She didn't see it yet, but she would. She would. It was a Tuesday, early enough in the morning that the house still felt hung over from sleep. Ashley had left for yoga, her new obsession. At least, that's what she said it was. Apparently the sun had to salute twice before she could face the day. She left her phone in the bathroom, screen up, unlocked. Rookie mistake, and the kind she never used to make. I didn't go digging, I didn't scroll, I didn't snoop, I wasn't interested in out-of-context fragments or misread emojis, but that preview, 5 words, was enough to tighten something in my chest like a seatbelt before impact. Same room as last time? That's it, no name, no photo, just a message bubble from someone labeled M. Now here's the thing, I'm not the screaming type. I don't throw things or demand answers in the middle of breakfast. That's theater, and Ashley thrives in theater. She can spin guilt into a pity monologue and turn suspicion into your own emotional instability. No, I didn't give her that chance. I just pocketed the moment, stored it like evidence. Then I did what I do best. I started thinking like a technician, not a husband. I poured a cup of coffee, sat down at the kitchen island, opened a new message. Corey. We hadn't talked in a while, not since he and his second wife moved to Ohio, but we still exchanged the occasional meme or old college memory, and more importantly, I knew what he did for a living. I typed, "Need a favor," quietly. He replied within 30 seconds. A question mark. I responded with two names, Ashley and her boss. There was a long pause, then just two words, "Holy shit," followed by, "I'll call you tonight." Ashley came back an hour later, glowing, flushed, yoga mat in hand, humming something upbeat like she was starring in a commercial for coconut water. She kissed my cheek, told me I should try her 6 a.m. vinyasa class sometime, then floated into the shower. I stared at the steam rising from under the bathroom door like it might spell something out. That night, when she fell asleep, I took a walk. Just getting steps in, Fitbit excuse, but really I needed air. And Corey, he called while I circled the block. So, here's the thing, he said. I can't just pull private messages without a trigger, but I can monitor usage patterns, metadata, meeting overlaps, travel bookings. Start there, I said, and be surgical. He paused. You're not going to do anything stupid, right? No, I said, and I meant it. I'm going to do something smart. That week, Corey started feeding me breadcrumbs, not messages yet, but metadata. He found her name and the boss's name linked in multiple calendar events with vague titles. Strategy dinner, client check-in, budget review, always after 7 p.m., always off-site, one at a steakhouse she told me she hated, another at a boutique hotel downtown where they once hosted a company retreat, the same hotel from the keycard I'd found months ago but chalked up to staff discount perks. Funny how the lies only start glowing once you adjust your vision. Corey asked if I wanted the Slack export, full chat logs, DMs, the works. Not yet. I wanted her to dig her own hole first. Let her think I was still half asleep, still nodding along while she talked about her big promotion, the mentorship, the once-in-a-lifetime opportunities her boss was offering. I didn't want to react. I wanted to observe. Ashley started getting bolder, more confident, a new wardrobe, more makeup, a different perfume, spicier. She claimed a new assistant was helping her manage her calendar, but she always seemed to accidentally misplace dinner plans with me. Can we rain check? She'd ask, kissing my forehead like I was her golden retriever. Sure, Ash, rain check. Meanwhile, I was checking Corey's updates like a stock ticker. He found a synced iCloud folder shared between their work accounts. It had receipts, literal ones, restaurant bills, room charges. One had a timestamp that matched the day she told me she was stuck late finishing a quarterly report. I remember that night well. I made her dinner, left it in the microwave, texted her good night. She didn't come home until 1:30 a.m., said she lost track of time. I kissed her on the temple, told her I was proud of how hard she was working, and I meant it because now I was working too. I wasn't going to yell, I wasn't going to accuse, I was going to document, let her toast, let her flirt, let her ride the corporate wave right into her own funeral. Because the thing about slipping up, most people don't hear it, but I do. And I record every sound. It's raining like hell the night Corey hands me the USB. One of those mid-autumn storms that doesn't ask permission, just barrels in and soaks you before you get the door closed. We meet in the parking lot of a dead strip mall, the kind where half the signs are sun-bleached and the other half are for lease. He pulls up in his old Civic, hood up, engine still running. Doesn't even get out. Just lowers the passenger window and holds out the thumb drive like it's radioactive. I shouldn't have this, he says, but you needed to see. I take it without a word. It's black, unmarked, no label, no fingerprint, just a piece of plastic that might as well weigh 1,000 pounds. You didn't get this from me, he adds. I didn't get anything. He nods once, then drives off. I sit in my car, engine off, rain pounding the windshield. I stare at the USB for a minute. There's a part of me, the old, loyal part, that wants to toss it into the storm drain and pretend none of this ever happened. But that part's already dead. I plug it into my laptop. No password, no encryption, just a folder labeled WorkSync AS. Inside, chat transcripts, email threads, hotel reservation confirmations, all PDF'd and neatly named by date. A few blurry photos taken in bad lighting, him and her at a rooftop bar, her hand on his knee, him leaning in, whispering something that makes her laugh with her head tilted back. I scroll through the chat logs. At first it's corporate. Let's circle back. Can we bump this to Monday? But then it morphs, gradually, like boiling water. I can't stop thinking about last night. Room 1406 again? Don't wear anything, saves time. Some messages are just timestamps and emojis, but they read louder than paragraphs. I hit play on one of the voice memos, her voice, hushed and close to the mic. God, I wish we didn't have to sneak around like this. He's getting suspicious, I think. She laughs at the end of it, like it's a private joke, like I'm the punchline. I sit very still, not angry, not even sad, just stripped of something I didn't realize was still holding me together. My wife, Ashley, had turned me into a footnote in her affair, a background prop, a life she narrated over with someone else's voice. And still, I didn't rage, I didn't throw the laptop, I didn't scream into the steering wheel. I closed the lid, pulled up a booking app, found a no-frills motel 10 miles out, just past the state line. Paid cash, checked in, under the name David Ellis, my high school debate rival. I always remembered him because he cheated on his girlfriend with her best friend and somehow won prom king anyway. Fitting. I walked into the room. It smelled like bleach and cable TV reruns. I dropped the duffel on the floor and sat on the edge of the bed. Everything was quiet except the buzz in my head. Ashley would be home by now. She'd probably hang up her coat, pour a glass of wine, light a candle. She'd text me eventually. Where are you? And I'd reply, meeting ran late. Let her taste the ambiguity. Let her marinate in it. Meanwhile, I opened my laptop again and started organizing the files. I renamed them, sorted them, timestamped them in a clean chronological format. I wasn't just looking at evidence, I was building a timeline. She didn't know it yet, but I'd already begun scripting her downfall. No blow-ups, no theatrics. This wasn't about vengeance. It was about clarity. I watched one of the videos on mute, her walking down a hallway in a hotel robe, laughing, slapping him on the chest. The camera caught it from a distance, probably one of the hotel's hallway cams. Corey had serious reach. I made a note. Timestamp, hotel address, security cam angle. My hands were shaking, not from rage, but precision. She'd spent the last year turning me into an accessory to her new life, the safe fallback, the husband with the perfect resume, and the conveniently low expectations. But here's the thing about building your escape route on top of someone else's routine. Eventually they notice, and when they do, they don't always knock. Sometimes they dismantle the house while you're still giving a tour. I stared at the screen, breathing in the smell of industrial detergent and cold air. This wasn't the night everything fell apart. This was the night it got organized. Quiet, systematic, methodical. Tomorrow, I'd go back home. Same face, same tone. But she wouldn't be sleeping next to a husband anymore. She'd be sleeping next to a historian. And historians? We document everything. Ashley glowed like she'd swallowed a spotlight. It was the first week of November when she came bursting through the front door with a bottle of rosé and 2 plastic flutes from the gas station, her idea of spontaneous celebration. I got the promotion, she shouted, kicking off her heels and nearly tripping over the rug. Regional director, can you believe it? I turned off the TV and gave her my best neutral smile. Not too cold, not too eager, just supportive enough to keep the illusion alive. That's great, I said. She twirled in the living room, arms raised. I might get my own division next year. He really sees my potential. I sipped from my water. He sees something all right. She paused mid-twirl, squinting at me. What's that supposed to mean? I shrugged. You know, potential, strategy, vision boards, whatever buzzword you people are using now. She narrowed her eyes, then decided to let it go. You're weird lately. I nodded. Probably. She poured the rosé and raised a toast. To growth, she said. To exposure, I replied. She didn't catch it. She was too busy Instagramming her glass under the hallway light like it was Veuve Clicquot. That week, she started getting more bold. Later nights, more perfume, more screen-down phone calls and vague, we're just workshopping ideas texts. She started humming around the house. Humming, like she was living in a movie montage. Meanwhile, I was building a short film of my own. I'd hired a freelance designer named Trent, found him through an ex-client of mine who owed me a favor. I need a video, I told Trent. No sound, just text overlay, screenshots, simple transitions, everything auto-played and timed, 10 seconds max per frame. He asked if it was for court. No, I said, for clarity. Over the next few days, I sent him material, Slack messages, photos, email confirmations, and most importantly, her words. I didn't even need to write a script. Ashley had already done it for me. Let's do the meeting at the Hilton again. Less eyes. You bring the pitch deck, I'll bring the wine. Can't wait to be under your leadership again. Each one overlaid like poetry over corresponding hotel reservation screenshots. A slow, calm unraveling. I told Trent the video needed to be formatted in widescreen, compatible with HDMI output. He didn't ask questions after that. Ashley, meanwhile, was living her best LinkedIn fantasy. New clothes, new nails, a new laugh she'd picked up from someone at work, high-pitched and forced. She started using phrases like value alignment and core synergy at the dinner table. She called me distant again that Thursday. You've been, I don't know, checked out. I looked up from my book. Sorry, must be all the excitement from your promotion. She tilted her head. You're not jealous, are you? I stared at her for a moment, long enough to make her fidget. Then I smiled. You think I'm threatened by your boss? She laughed a little too hard. No, no. But her confidence had a tiny crack now, barely visible, but I saw it. That night, she came to bed in a silk nightgown she hadn't worn since our anniversary 3 years ago. Thought I'd surprise you, she whispered. I kissed her forehead and said I had a headache. She rolled over, annoyed but not suspicious. Not yet, because she still believed she was in control, that she was balancing two lives, two truths like a master strategist. But the thing about strategy, it requires awareness. And Ashley was too busy celebrating a war she didn't realize she was already losing. While she rehearsed her corporate speech in the mirror, I rehearsed the timing of the video drop. While she picked a dress for the company party, I picked the exact moment the screen behind her would flicker to life. And while she imagined applause and office selfies, I imagined something quieter, a room full of faces going still, a silence loud enough to destroy careers. Ashley thought she was rising, but the higher she went, the more fragile she became, and I was no longer a husband. I was gravity. The moment the RSVP hit my inbox, I felt my pulse slow, not rise. It was a formality, the kind HR sends to everyone, with generic branding and that lifeless phrase, "Come celebrate our biggest year yet." Ashley forwarded it to me with a glittery, "Can't wait? You're still coming, right?" Like we were newlyweds attending our first gala, I clicked yes without hesitation. Of course, I replied. She sent a heart emoji. I didn't react. Instead, I opened a new message thread with Corey. Need specs on the projector system. Format, ports, HDMI compatibility. He answered in less than 5 minutes. He was always efficient, like he was still trying to impress me in college. Standard HDMI in, plays from thumb or remote feed. I can patch in from the AV closet if needed. I'll deliver the file tonight, I wrote. And I did. I gave him the finished video on a separate drive, encrypted, password protected. He didn't ask what was in it. He already knew. Still, he hesitated. You sure about this? I didn't answer immediately. I looked down at the drive in his hand, then out the window of the cafe where we met. 2 baristas were arguing over who burned the croissants. Someone was laughing too loud into a laptop. And for a moment, I almost felt detached, like I was watching my own life through bulletproof glass. Then I turned back to him. No theatrics, I said. Just clarity. He nodded, still unsure. When? Exactly when she finishes her toast. No earlier, no delay. I want her to hear herself, and then see herself. He nodded again, slower this time. I'll be standing by the cable room. The pieces fell into place one by one after that. I scouted the ballroom layout. Thankfully, it hadn't changed since last year. I knew exactly where the AV screen dropped from the ceiling, knew the delay between switching feeds, knew which table gave me the best view of Ashley and the screen. I asked to be seated near the back, by the drinks, claimed I had a knee thing and didn't want to be in the way. HR didn't care. Ashley, meanwhile, was buzzing with energy. She shopped for 3 different dresses, had them laid out on the bed one night like she was deciding which role to play. "Which one looks more executive, you think?" she asked. I looked up from my laptop. "Which one's more honest?" She blinked, confused. "What does that mean?" "Nothing," I said. "Red looks nice." She chose the red. Of course she did. It wasn't lost on me that the first time I saw her in red, she was trying to win me over. Now she'd be wearing it to toast the man she thought she'd replace me with. Poetic. The night before the party, she rehearsed her toast in the bathroom mirror. I stood just outside brushing my teeth like this was still normal. "To our fearless leader, who challenges us every day to be better, bolder," I spat into the sink. "Sounds like you're proposing." She smirked. "You're jealous." "Not in the slightest," I said. She tilted her head. "You're so weird lately." "You keep saying that," I said, walking past her to the bedroom. "Maybe I'm just evolving." She laughed behind me, not getting it. That night, I didn't sleep much. Not because of anxiety. There was no fear left in me. Just a strange, electric calm. I lay in bed, watching the ceiling fan spin slow and uneven. My mind ran through the cues, the timing, the sequence. When her toast ended, there'd be a natural pause. People would clap, raise their glasses, turn toward each other. That's when Corey would trigger the switch. It would take less than 2 seconds. The projector would flicker, then stabilize. And then Ashley's own words would begin to crawl across the screen. No sound, just silence, text, and implication. The way she liked to say things when she thought no one was listening. I even timed the transitions to her cadence, the way she pauses mid-sentence to appear thoughtful. The opening line, "You make me feel more seen in one night than he has in a decade." That would sit for 10 full seconds, followed by the photo, then the reservation, then the emoji trail. It wouldn't be a bomb. It would be surgery, sharp, sterile, precise. Ashley thought she'd be lifting a glass to her next big step. What she didn't know was that her step was already off the cliff, and I wasn't watching her fall. I was measuring it. Ashley sat across from me at the dinner table, chicken marsala untouched, wine glass half full, phone face down beside her plate. She was reading from a folded note card like it was a script that would save her life. "So I'm thinking I open with a joke," she said, tilting her head, smiling the way she always did when she wanted to be adored. "Maybe something about how the team runs on caffeine and passive aggression." I didn't answer, just lifted my glass and took a slow sip, let the pause stretch like warm gum. She blinked. "Or maybe I go the heartfelt route, you know. It's been a year of growth, thanks to our fearless leader, blah blah corporate crap." Still nothing from me. I chewed slowly, knife and fork making clean, methodical contact with the plate. Her smile started to crack, not enough to collapse, just enough to show a draft behind the drywall. She leaned forward slightly. "Hello? Earth to my husband. You have any thoughts, or are you just going to brood all night?" I set my fork down, wiped my mouth. "Do whatever feels honest." She stared, trying to decode whether it was sarcasm or sincerity. It was both, of course. "You've been off lately," she said. "Distant, weird." "I've been observant," I corrected calmly. She scoffed. "Oh God, don't go therapist on me. Just tell me what's going on. You're making me nervous." I raised an eyebrow. "Why? You hiding something?" Her eyes flicked to her wine glass. She let out a half laugh. "Don't be ridiculous." "I didn't say you were," I replied. "You did." She stood up abruptly, chair screeching against the hardwood. "I'm going to go finish this in the bedroom. At least the mirror doesn't interrupt me." As she stormed off, I watched the way her dress clung too tightly around her waist. The new one she bought last week. Said it was for confidence. Fool. Said her boss always said, "Dress for the role you want." She was dressing like a woman who already had the role. A few minutes later, I heard her pacing in the bedroom, her voice low, muttering to herself. Practicing. "Should I thank him first?" she asked aloud. "Or the team?" I stayed seated at the table, watching the candle burn down. The flame hissed every few seconds like it wanted to join the conversation. Eventually, she came back into the dining room barefoot, her speech card folded in half. "I'm sorry," she said, softer now. "I just want this to go well. It's a big moment." I nodded. "It'll be unforgettable." She gave me a wary smile. Not relief, not gratitude, something else, suspicion. She was starting to feel it, like a draft under the door she couldn't quite find. The air around her was changing, and she couldn't explain it. She tried to crawl into bed with her usual smile later that night, nudged me under the covers, whispered, "Can't believe I'm finally getting recognized for my work." I turned off the bedside lamp. "You've worked hard," I said into the dark. She rested her head on my chest, but I could feel the tension in her shoulders, like a dog who knows the thunder's coming but can't see the clouds. That's the thing about paranoia. Once it starts, it doesn't stop. It infects the little things. She started checking her phone more often, leaving the room to take calls, asking strange questions like, "You're not upset about me working so much, right?" I answered with a question of my own. Why would I be? It drove her insane because every time she searched my face for anger or suspicion, all she saw was calm. And nothing unsettles a liar more than silence. It makes them talk too much. Overcorrect. Ashley started doubting her own steps, not enough to change course, but enough to wobble. And all I had to do was keep setting the table, smile, sip, and let her rehearse the speech that would become her eulogy. The Hyatt ballroom looks like a Christmas card vomited on a credit card statement. Gold foil streamers, frosted centerpieces, champagne flutes sweating on cheap linens. A jazz trio massacres Jingle Bell Rock in the corner while middle-aged execs pretend they're not exhausted by the year or by each other. Ashley is in her element, red dress, gold heels, hair curled to high heaven, laughing too loudly at things no one really said. Her boss is orbiting her like a proud uncle, palm grazing her lower back just a moment too long. I'm by the drinks table, vodka soda, one ice cube, hands steady, face neutral. The speeches start. CFO gets up and stumbles through some company growth stats no one will remember. A VP cracks a bad joke about bonuses. Then, finally, Ashley's boss takes the mic. He clears his throat, loosens his tie for performance effect. "And now," he says, "someone who's not only led her team to record numbers, but continues to inspire all of us, Ashley Monroe." Applause, a few woos from the younger staff. Someone clinks a fork against a glass. Ashley struts up like it's her wedding day, waves, grabs the mic, all teeth and charisma. She starts slow, humble. "Wow, thank you so much. This year has been transformational." I sip, watch, wait. She thanks her team, says something vaguely empowering about leaning into discomfort, drops two buzzwords, innovation and alignment. Then she glances back at her boss. "To my boss," she purrs, like she's sliding into a joke. "The only man I'd say yes to twice." Laughter, real, guttural, table-slapping laughter. Someone whistles. Someone else mutters, "Damn." Ashley beams, basking in it, letting the moment stretch. Then the screen behind her flickers. Once, twice, and then it comes alive. The room doesn't notice at first. It's just a shift in background light, something peripheral. But the laughter fades, and then the text begins to scroll. "Can't wait to have you under me again." White letters on black. Simple, elegant, brutal. Then, a hotel reservation. The Hilton, same day as her off-site strategy session. Her name, his name, one room, one bed. Then a photo, not explicit. Blurry, shot from a distance, but unmistakable. Ashley, in a hotel hallway, robe untied, laughing, his hand on the small of her back. The room goes still. Ashley's still smiling, frozen in time, like she hasn't turned around yet. Then someone whispers, "What the hell?" And the whispers multiply like wildfire. She turns, sees the screen, her body physically recoils, like she's been shot without hearing the bullet. She turns back to the crowd, face pale, mouth open, but no words come. The mic is still in her hand, but it might as well be a grenade. Her boss stares at the screen, eyes wide, jaw tightening. Corey had done it perfectly. No looping, no sound, just slide after slide. evidence, conversation, receipt, timestamp, the entire affair, told in 10-second increments. Ashley tries to speak, fails, then finally, turn it off. But it's too late. The message has landed. And worse than the content is the silence. There's no shouting, no scandalized gasps, just the sound of reputations combusting in real time. She looks around like she's drowning. No one meets her eyes. I place my empty glass on the table and quietly walk out the side exit. No drama, no accusations, just the clean sound of shoes on marble, leaving behind the wreckage. Ashley had taken the stage to celebrate herself. She didn't know she'd be introducing her own undoing, not with a bang, but with the truth. Ashley's laugh dies mid-note, cut off like a record scratch in a silent church. She turns toward the screen. Her head tilts just slightly. It's the tilt that gets me, like she's trying to convince herself she's misreading it, that maybe this is a glitch, maybe this isn't real, but the next slide removes any hope. Let's say it's a client meeting. Wear that skirt I like. She stares at her own words, her mouth slack, lip gloss catching the projector light. Her boss, Mr. Confidence, takes one step back. Just one. But it's enough. A single backward motion from him, and the room feels it, the distance. The denial, the unspoken calculation in real time. This isn't mine. I'm not going down with her. Someone near the bar coughs, not like they're sick, like they're trying to clear something out that's suddenly toxic. Someone else, I think from HR, whispers, "Oh my God." Ashley's hand shoots up toward the screen as if she can physically swipe the shame away. "Turn that off," she shouts, voice cracking. She turns back to the crowd, eyes wild. This is a prank, a sick, someone hacked the system. But Corey, bless him, is already gone. I picture him calmly folding his laptop, tucking it into his messenger bag, and exiting through the service elevator like a ghost who was never there. Ashley tries again. "I mean it. Stop the damn video." Her boss steps away from her completely now, arms folded, looking down like he's just as betrayed as everyone else, like she seduced him. The hypocrisy lands like a slap. I don't stop to watch the rest. I walk out through the side door, not hurried, not smug, just done. The ballroom door swings shut behind me, the muffled sound of chaos beginning to bubble. Shuffling chairs, scattered voices, one woman gasping like someone told her a beloved pet just died. No one chases me. Ashley's too busy flailing in front of 50 of her co-workers, trying to plug holes in a dam that exploded. I keep walking, out into the cold night air, frost biting my collar. The valet looks up from his booth. "Done already, sir?" I nod. The show's over. He doesn't understand what I mean, that's fine. I hand him my ticket. Behind me, I can hear the party unraveling. The laughter didn't just stop, it reversed, recoiled, morphed into stunned silence, then whispering, then the sharp clatter of dignity being dropped like silverware on tile. Ashley's voice rises again. "I can just barely make it out. He manipulated those messages. They're out of context." "Which part, Ashley? The part where you said, if he ever found out, I'd deny everything? Or the part where you added, he's harmless, he doesn't even ask questions anymore?" The car pulls up. I slide into the back seat. The driver glances at me through the mirror. "Good party?" "Productive." He shrugs and merges onto the road. I don't look back, because this isn't the part where I gloat. There's nothing to gloat about. I didn't get revenge. I enforced reality. Ashley's carefully curated image, mentee, rising star, doting wife, collapsed in on itself under the weight of its own dishonesty. And I didn't even raise my voice. No grand confrontation, no viral scene, just a clean, surgical strike. The thing about collapse is it doesn't need volume. It just needs timing. And I had all the time in the world. By 9:12 a.m. the next morning, the corporate machine was already gnawing through what remained of Ashley's legacy. HR didn't even wait for the coffee to finish brewing. They issued an internal memo, clean, clinical, surgically vague. Following recent events, a formal review will commence regarding the conduct of 2 senior staff members during offsite events. Effective immediately, Regional Director Monroe and Executive VP Keller are placed on administrative leave pending investigation. Leave. That's how corporations say we already know what you did, but legal needs a nap before the paperwork gets final. Ashley's name was stripped from the internal contact sheet by noon. Her email went dark. Corey confirmed it. All access revoked, he wrote. They didn't even let her log into export contacts. Cold. Cold. The same temperature she used with me when she'd lie straight-faced about her strategy dinners. The phone stayed silent most of the day, until 3:41 p.m. One text. From her. Why did you do that? 7 words. No emojis. No apology. Just raw disbelief that the world no longer spun on her script. I stared at it for a full minute, then I hit forward. I opened a new thread. Her father, Pastor Monroe, deacon at Eastwood Church, spiritual advisor, marriage counselor, weekly preacher of family values and the sanctity of the marital covenant. He adored her. She was the golden daughter, the one who never rebelled, never embarrassed the family, the one who, in his words, married a good man and built a Christian home. I had debated whether to involve him, but then I remembered a voicemail he left me last year after our anniversary dinner. Thank you for loving my daughter so well. You're a man of God, son. So I sent it all. The messages, the photos, the screenshots of room reservations and Slack messages time-stamped while she was supposedly leading Bible study Zooms. No commentary, no introduction, just the plain, unvarnished truth. His reply came 4 minutes later. Understood, no sermon, no excuses, no plea for discretion, just understood. Ashley didn't text again that day, but I got 3 calls from blocked numbers. I didn't answer. The house felt different, quieter, but not empty, like it was waiting, like the walls themselves were bracing for the final act. She hadn't come home the night before, probably too humiliated to face me, or too busy trying to salvage whatever pieces of her reputation hadn't already been atomized. Either way, she was learning what it felt like to be outside the narrative for once. I spent the afternoon cleaning, not out of anger, just necessity. I boxed her office trophies, the women in leadership plaques, the framed photo of her and the CEO grinning in front of a step-and-repeat backdrop at last year's retreat. I found her vision board tucked behind her desk, VP by 40, own division, Europe in spring. Baby, maybe? Respect. I smiled at the last one. Respect. You can't paste that onto a corkboard and expect it to grow. You earn it. And Ashley, she'd bankrupted hers. The news reached her friends, eventually. The ones she'd curated carefully over wine nights and Pilates. One by one, the texts slowed. Her name disappeared from a couple girls' trip group chats. I know because I saw her iPad light up. It was still logged in. She hadn't even thought to wipe it. Messages like, sorry babe, I just can't get involved in this drama. You might want to lay low for a while. HR asked if I ever saw anything inappropriate. Well, what should I say? The castle she'd built on admiration and controlled perception? Gone. Now she was just a ghost in a group thread, professionally radioactive, personally quarantined. And I didn't lift a finger that day. Didn't respond, didn't gloat, didn't cry. I just watched the walls close in. Because sometimes justice doesn't need a hammer. Sometimes it just needs a mirror. And she finally saw hers. The envelope came on a Tuesday. Manila, thick, no return address, but I knew what it was before I even slid it open. 2 weeks had passed since the ballroom, since the flickering screen rewrote the company's golden girl into a cautionary tale. And now, here it was. Finality, printed in black ink and lawyer prose. Divorce papers, filed by me, signed by her. No counters, no demands, no fight. She didn't ask for the house, didn't mention alimony, didn't even breathe in the direction of my business. She knew she had no footing left, not in the marriage, not in court, not in the world where her version of the story had disintegrated under fluorescent lighting and stunned stares. I didn't attend the hearing. Didn't need to. Everything important had already been said, not in words, but in silence, projection, and perfectly timed transitions. But there was one last thing I hadn't done, one final frame. It wasn't for Ashley. She'd already been delivered her reckoning. This one was for the people who built her pedestal, the partners, the ones who clapped when she won awards, who smiled in photos, who CC'd her on every email about culture and brand values. They didn't see the full story, just the aftermath, the empty desk, the HR memo, the absence. I owed them the truth. So I compiled one final clip, short, clean, brutal. It opened with Ashley sitting in a breakout session at last year's leadership summit. The video had been uploaded to the internal portal, hidden in plain sight. She's mid-conversation, unaware the mic's still hot, wine glass in hand. She leans over to someone off camera and laughs. He's harmless. A background character. Click. Fade to black. Then white text on silence. Background doesn't mean blind. I sent it to their inboxes with no subject line, no message, just the file attached. And then I shut the laptop. I didn't wait for responses, didn't need validation, because this wasn't about destruction. It was about definition. She defined me for years, cast me in a role, the safe one, the simple one, and I let her because I was playing the long game. Now, she's out. Not just of my life, but out of every room she thought she owned. Her reputation, her rise, her image. It's all a pile of paper trophies no one wants to dust. She lives somewhere else now. I don't know where. Don't care. We haven't spoken since the papers were signed. But occasionally I'll catch a look from someone we used to know. A flicker of recognition, a pause, a question they don't ask. And I just nod, because what's left to say? Sometimes the quietest man in the room is just waiting for his cue. And when it comes, he doesn't shout, he edits, he cuts, and when he's done, the room is silent.